Hello and welcome to our training today. Today we're talking about SBA loans. We're going to talk about PPP forgiveness to start with. We're going to talk about the rules that have changed. It's now easier than it's ever been to get your PPP loan forgiven. We're going to talk about what you need to know. But we're also going to talk about like 10 plus different kind of SBA loans and credit lines you can still get right now. So the actual enrollment for PPP closed in August, but there's still over 10 types of SBA financing you're able to get right now. In this training, we're going to decode all of them. We're going to talk about a lot of different ways you could tap into SBA to still get money for your business to help with this changing economy. And then at the end, we're even going to talk about ways you can build business credit and many other ways you're able to get financing too, and how you can tap into them all. So a lot we're going to cover today. So that being said, today we're going to dive into SBA PPP loan forgiveness, changes that you need to know, how payroll, benefits, even retirement contributions are all covered in this now. Things that are updates as recent as this month here, a few weeks ago, that are updates that you need to know if you want to get your PPP loan forgiven. Other SBA loans, over 10 different funding options that we're going to go over with SBA, how to get $150,000 in credit lines, even as a startup. We're going to talk a little bit about building business credit for your EIN as well. And we're going to talk about, like 15 other ways you can get financing other than SBA, on top of, like I mentioned, over 10 different types of SBA. If you're staying to the end of this webinar, then we're going to do several different things. You're going to get a playback of this, 30 days of free business credit monitoring with Experian, Equifax, and Dun & Bradstreet. It's about a $250 value. I'm going to teach you how to get that at no cost, and a no-cost consultation with our team. If you want to know the financing you can get now, how fundable your business is, if you want to know the steps to build business credit, I'm going to give you all that. At the end of this, I'm going to teach you exactly how to tap in and be able to access that for you and your company. So a little bit about me for those that don't know me. I've got 20 years of experience in the financial industry, written 2 of the best-selling books on consumer commercial credit, Perfect Credit and Business Credit Decoded. I'm featured everywhere from Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur, and I happen to have the opportunity to oversee the largest coaching division in the United States for business credit financing. Basically, we are the ones that put people out in the space as brokers that help teach them what they need to know to offer financing as a service, and also business credit as well. So I have a lot of experience in this area. That's the only reason I tell you that. Very humble guy. I just tell you this because I want you to know that I have experience to talk to you about this today. So if you have a PPP loan now and you want to know how to have it forgiven, right now is the time to be focusing on that, then you're in the right place. If you need additional funding, didn't qualify for PPP, or you did and get PPP, but you still need more money, we're going to give you a bunch of options there too. If you want other funding options for long-term low-rate funding, okay, this is what we want. We want 20, 30-year loan terms. What else can we get for 20, 30 years and low interest rates? We're going to talk about a bunch of options that will work. If you need money to go to grow, but you don't know where to go to get it, we're going to be diving into that as well. And if you're looking for the fastest and easiest way to get money, we're going to be talking about that option as well. I'm going to turn this up a little. Hopefully the volume is okay. I'll be a little bit closer to the mic. If anybody else has volume issues, please let me know. Not a lot I can do to control that, but I've done everything I can do. And if you're looking for the fastest and easiest way to get money, we're going to be talking about that as well today. So according to a new survey by WIS, a Florland Park-based full-service accounting and strategic firm, 27% of respondents said they experienced a dramatic income loss because of COVID. So if you are in this bucket, you're not alone, right? A third of us saw a dramatic income loss as a result of COVID. Okay, 30% was the average revenue lost. Nearly half of small businesses surveyed have cut spending because of COVID-19. 60% applied for a PPP loan, of which 26% received it. So that means about 41% didn't. They actually applied and didn't get. 41% of those in 100 to 499 employee size companies, and just 17% of under 25 employee companies. So look, a lot of people applied for this and a lot of people didn't get it. Over 2/3 of the people that did apply didn't get it. And that's why I want to do this today. Because if you did get it, I'm going to teach you how to get that forgiven. But if you didn't get it, then there's a lot of other SBA options that are still available right now that people don't even realize that you're able to tap into, some of which are going to be the most popular loan product is what they're estimating in 2021 as we get into the next quarter. So 21% have furloughed staff, 16% have laid off staff, 20% have used business savings or borrowed from a business line of credit, 12% did that, 20% tapped their personal savings, 8% borrowed from retirement, 7% took out personal loans to navigate this crisis. Nearly 10% of businesses reported closing due to the financial impact of COVID-19. We all have those businesses. in our communities. Mine was TCBY was one of the ones. My kids love TCBY, and they didn't make it even early into the process. So I think this is interesting because I've yet to see people really give the overall statistics of how impacted businesses were, where we got our money to deal with this, how many of us got PPP, how many of us didn't versus applied. So I think that these statistics bring it home and let you know that you're not alone. A lot of us are struggling with the same thing, getting a PPP loan to begin with, getting it forgiven, and then where we can access other kinds of funding as well. So all of that stuff we're going to be diving into today. So in response to COVID, one of the forms of government relief came in the small business loans. As we know, SBA pumped out a lot of these PPP loans through this process, right? Restrictions of the use of funds came right from the beginning, but it was a gray area. They kept changing the rules. Kind of the rug got pulled out from underneath us for what actually was forgiven, what wasn't forgiven, the process to get things forgiven, et cetera. It was very difficult for us to be able to figure out. Funds were meant to retain employees, but then there were more restrictions, and the program finally closed August 8th of 2020. So PPP you can't get anymore. But I'm going to talk about other options that you can get outside of PPP. So we'll talk about that as well. Now there's the matter of loan forgiveness. That's where we are now. All of us, our banks are starting to issue guidelines and the paperwork that we need to have our loans forgiven. And the paperwork that we fill out is all different depending on the loan amount, et cetera, which is one of the reasons we want to dive into this today. So initially, these rules when they first came out were complicated because it happened so quick. And a lot of us had to submit requests for the services. We didn't know exactly what to do. The requests had to be supplied with a lot of documentation to even get the PPP loan. There was time restrictions on when we could get it in to get the funds to get in line. As many of us remember, months ago, this was a mess to even try to get into PPP. Now, SBA recently revamped their loan forgiveness rules for PPP actually last month in October, and an effort was made to simplify the process to make it easier to get the loans forgiven. Now, basically, they look to make it easier to request forgiveness for loans of $50,000 or less. However, keep in mind, the average PPP loan amount is more like $150,000. So even though they simplified it for the smaller loan amounts, less than 50 grand, then it still really didn't do a lot for those of us that took more than 50,000. And that is the majority of people actually ended up getting $150,000 on average from PPP. So let's talk about the different forms that are involved for you to get PPP loan forgiveness. And Bismarck says, good morning. Ariba says 20% tapped into personal savings. You said 20% in your neighborhood. I'm not sure about that. I will look back at that though. And good morning, Judy. Thanks for coming in. So if I misspoke to that, excuse me. If it was 20% versus 21%. Okay, so PPP loan forgiveness, application form 3508S. So this form is for loans of $50,000 or less. So if you have a loan of $50,000 or less, this is what you need to know about. It's the 3508S form is the form that applies for you. Okay, it's now just one page long. And that's what I mean by simplifying this process for people that have $50,000 loans or less. Essentially, the business owner signs a document stating they have used the funds as required, and they understand the federal government could pursue them on fraud charges if they have misused the funds in any manner. A lot of fraud came out of what happened here with COVID and the PPP. This form is simple, easy to read. It doesn't even need a notary on it. The form does require information on all the principals of the company. So all the owners of the company are going to have to fill out 3508S. And again, this applies for you if you obtained a loan of $50,000 or less. Now, 3508EZ, this is if you borrow more than $50,000. Okay, 3508EZ is the form that you need. You can easily Google it to get access to this form. It's the same, but it's 2 pages. So one is an explanatory form. It explains what's going on. Then the other one has actual pages you need to fill out. Still not too complicated. Okay, and it contains a page for financial information you're going to have to fill out the same as you are with the prior form for less than $50,000. So the first page includes spaces for calculating cost. List cost include rents, leases, mortgage interest payment, utilities, payroll cost. Now, at the time of this, I advised everybody, hey, put the money in a separate account and just pay your payroll. It's going to make it simple if you could just prove that you paid your payroll from this. But if you didn't follow that advice, a little bit more complicated because proving the interest on mortgage payments, rents, leases, all these kind of things, the more way you use the money, the more complicated it's going to be, the more things you're going to have, or more hoops you have to jump through per se, to verify all of these things and how you actually spent that money. Now, this form calls for determining which is the smallest of payroll, plus mortgage interest, plus rent, lease, plus utilities. The PPP loan amount, okay, the payroll costs 60% requirement. That did change, and I gave an update presentation to teach you all that when it did come out. Originally, it was way less, or it was way different. Now, payroll costs 60%. is what they actually wanted. It was as high as like 80% at one point in time. Whichever's the least of these three is the forgiveness amount. So the least of these is the actual amount that you can get forgiven. And I'm going to go ahead and put the page. I won't tell you the whole URL link, but you can access the URL if you want to take a quick screenshot, and you can actually see where to get this information directly from the source. Some of it's from the Treasury, some of it's from SBA. So I want you to know where to actually tap into that. Reeve says, thanks, LL. I'm a teacher. It's something that I do instinctively. I appreciate that. Thanks for your correction. And that makes sense to simplify and streamline spending for this financial hub. I agree it does. So these different forms, let's take a look at them. Given the payroll cost 60% requirement, a business owner who borrowed $83,000 would receive $49,800 in forgiveness or less, but an entrepreneur who had borrowed $50,000 would get the full amount back. Hence, the second entrepreneur would come out ahead of the first, okay, in that example. Okay, so again, that's what it all comes down to with which of the least of these is forgiven. And again, the key here was to use as much of it as payroll as possible. If you did that, if you followed that advice, then your chances are good of getting 100% of it forgiven. You did it, then we've got to look at where you spent the money. And again, it just becomes a little bit more complicated as I'm trying to kind of outline here. So there's another application form you need to know too, 6/16/2020. And this form is 5 pages long. It includes more calculations than 3508EZ. And those calculations are more complex. It also includes a Schedule A for calculating compensation and a requirement to name employees making less than $100,000. Remember, anybody making over $100,000 a year, we didn't include their $100,000 plus in there. We only let them include the $100,000 or less. It looks more like a tax form than anything else. And again, you can access this more information directly on SBA's website right here. Okay, so beyond significantly improving the forgiveness application for many applicants, the Treasury Department added 2 easy-to-follow FAQs. One is on the loans themselves. The other is on loan forgiveness. You can get it right here on the Treasury's homepage, home.treasury.gov/policy-issues/cares/assistance-for-small-business. Again, my advice, take a quick screenshot of that because it is a good FAQ. Almost all the questions that I've been asked, I find some form of answer on these FAQ pages. So again, it's something to consider. And Caesar, thanks for coming in from New York. You're always here, Caesar. I love you coming in every week or every day. We heard 3 days a week. So sole proprietors, independent contractors, self-employed individuals who had no employees at the time of PPP and did not include any employee salaries in the compilation of average monthly payroll in the borrow application form automatically qualify to use the loan forgiveness application of the 3508EZ. So bottom line is, if you didn't really have employees that you were really claiming, a lot of us remember there was a second window we could apply if we were 1099 self-employed. Congratulations. You actually get it on the easy form, the 3508EZ. So if you are in that bucket, then you're able to qualify for the shorter, simpler form that's typically intended for $50,000 or less loan amounts. Now, borrowers can wait to make payments if they apply for forgiveness first, as long as a borrower submits its loan application within 10 months of the completion of the cover period. Remember, you have a certain date after you got your loan that you're responsible for paying them what you is not forgiven. You're supposed to start making payments on that, okay? So that being said, you need to keep in mind that with this, if you submit your application for forgiveness, then you don't have to be able to, or then you can wait to start making payments. You don't have to make payments if you submitted the application. So again, remember, you have 10 months after the cover period began for you to actually start making payments on that. Okay, so if you've got the application submitted, you don't have to start making payments. The key is to get your application submitted so you can hold off your payments. And again, the real goal here is that all of your loan is forgiven. None of it has to be paid back. Okay, that's the real goal of what we're trying to accomplish. Now, Carla says, will the webinar be available on demand or will we receive an email? Carla, if you attend to the end, then we will send you a playback of the event. And you're tuning in directly on Zoom because we have this going as a webinar and live streaming on multiple platforms. So thanks for tuning in. We will, if you're attending to the end, we will get you a playback. Okay, the borrower is not required to make any payments until the forgiveness amount is remitted to the lender by SBA. So keep in mind, some things you can't control here. You can submit it to the lender. You can't control when they get it to SBA. That's why they're saying if you submitted the application, you don't have to make your first payment. Give SBA time to consider everything. Okay, and then hopefully the whole amount that you actually got with PPP, especially if you used it all towards payroll, is actually going to be forgiven. So some things to consider there. Now, the loan is fully forgiven. The borrower is not responsible for any payments. If only a portion of the loan is forgiven or the forgiveness application is denied, then any remaining balance of the loan must be repaid by the borrower on or before the maturity date of the loan. And you have to keep in mind that I think these were paid back off the top of my head, a 1% interest for the course of basically 2 years. You have to pay back. It was 1 year, and then they ended up switching that to 2 years. Okay, so some things to keep in mind. Okay, payroll costs that were incurred during the covered period or the alternative payroll covered period, but paid after the covered period or the alternative payroll covered period are eligible for loan forgiveness. Okay, so it's very important. So it was that payroll costs were only covered, or if you were paying them during that actual covered payment, during the covered period, excuse me. But now, if you paid them after the covered period or the alternative payroll covered period, then you are still able for forgiveness. Bottom line, they want you to use the money for retention of employees. If you did that and you can prove that you did that, then you're going to have more leeway now with these new regulations to be able to actually have that amount forgiven. And again, they cover that in that FAQ page that I gave you as well. Now, payroll costs that were incurred before the covered period but paid during the covered period are eligible for loan forgiveness. Under some restrictions, borrowers will need to calculate payroll costs for partial pay periods if the borrower pays twice per month or less often. So again, if your pay period went beyond that date, you have to consider that. But again, meaning that sometimes your payroll is paid in 2 payrolls for a month. Typically, for most of us, it's paid every other week. So payroll costs include all forms of cash compensation paid to employees. This include tips, commissions, bonuses, hazard pay. All of that's included. Remember, as long as it's sub $100,000, over $100,000, it's not, as we talked about. Forgivable cash compensation employees is limited to $100,000. We just talked about that. Employer expenses for employee group healthcare benefits that are paid or incurred by the borrower during the covered period or the alternative period are payroll cost eligible for loan forgiveness. So this is something you need to know, because this was something that was a huge gray area during the actual release of the bill and when we were all filing for PPP. So employer expenses for employee group healthcare benefits that are paid or incurred during that time period are covered. But payroll costs do not include expenses for group healthcare benefits paid by employees or beneficiaries of the plan, either pre-tax or after tax. And an example is the employee's share of their healthcare premium. Okay, so some examples there. But again, important thing to say here is that employee group healthcare benefits are covered if you have paid them during that time period. Now, forgiveness is not provided for expenses for group health benefits accelerated from periods outside the covered or alternative covered period. So if you paid this outside or after the covered period, then it doesn't apply. It's not going to be covered. It's not going to be forgiven. Now, if a borrower has an insured group health plan, insurance premiums paid or incurred during the covered period, they qualify as payroll costs as well, as long as the premiums are paid during that application period. But only the portion of the premiums paid by the borrower for coverage during that period are included. Outside of it, they're not. Okay, this does not include any portion paid by employees or beneficiaries or any portion paid for coverage for periods outside the applicable period. So keep in mind, this is about you, the employer, and your cost. It doesn't include the cost of your employees that they incur for their own insurance, because oftentimes we pay half the insurance and the employee pays the other half. So some things to keep in mind. Now, some retirement benefits are covered as well. Generally, employer contributions for employee retirement benefits that are paid or incurred during that time period do qualify as payroll costs and are covered under the rules for forgiveness. They can be forgiven. And the employer contributions for retirement benefits, including the loan forgiveness amount as payroll costs, cannot include any retirement contributions deducted from employees' pay or otherwise paid by employees. Again, kind of common sense. You can't claim the stuff your employees are paying, but you can claim the part that you are paying as the employer. Now, forgiveness is not provided for employer contributions for retirement benefits accelerated from periods outside of that. So same thing. So when we look at healthcare benefits, when we look at retirement benefits, what you paid during that time period counts as payroll cost and can be included. It can be included there to be forgiven. But if it's outside of that time period, before or after, or the stuff that your employee pays, then that stuff isn't forgiven. Or is it to be calculated into your total? The employee cash compensation of a C corporation owner employee defined as an owner who is also an employee, including where the owner is the only employee, is eligible for loan forgiveness up to the amount of 2.5 times over 12 of his or her 2019 employee compensation. This is how it was done. So we looked at every employee, and basically you were able to get 2.5 times the amount on average of what the 12-month average of your pay was. So if you are the employee, if you have a C corporation, you're the only employee, you can be covered the same way and get the same forgiveness amount as your employees got. So cash compensation is defined as it is for all other employees, but keep in mind, over $100,000, we exclude the amount over $100,000. I keep coming down back to that, especially if it's you, because you owning the business, there's a good chance that you probably are making more than $100,000, depending on where your business is. Okay, if you're in the startup phases, maybe not. but a more established business that's get that 150,000 or more, you could probably fall into that bucket. So owner-employee borrowers are also eligible for loan forgiveness for payments for employer, state, and local taxes paid by the borrowers and assessed on their compensation. This is for the amount paid by the borrower or for employer contributions for their employee health insurance. It's also the employer retirement contributions to their employer retirement plans as well. This is capped at 2.5 times 12 of the 2019 employer retirement contribution. So we look at what happened in 2019 over 12 months and 2.5, and we're looking at that at 2.5 times. So basically, again, this is covered as well. So they take into account the employer, state, and local taxes paid. That actually combines in as a payroll expense that's covered under this as well. And Anthony says, what's the covered period? Is that the date we have to start paying back? The covered period, yes, is the date you have to start paying back. So hopefully that answers your question. It's a pretty direct answer. Okay, so this employee cash compensation of an S Corp owner employee is the same as for owner employees of C Corps. Such owner employees are eligible for the same loan forgiveness for the payments of state, local, and state taxes. So it doesn't matter if you're an S Corp or a C Corp. And it's the same for employer retirement contributions to their retirement plans. But employer contributions for health insurance are not eligible for additional forgiveness. Okay, for S Corporation employees with at least a 2% stake in the business. This includes for employees who are family members of an at least 2% owner under the family contribution rules of 26 USC 318. Just the rule if you want to learn more about it. Okay, a little bit technical, but I want you guys to have access to the technical information because some people here, based on your questions, you obviously understand what we're talking about, and this is what you need to know. This is the nitty-gritty stuff we have to do. And let's be honest, this is the most important part of PPP for us. It just is. Because this is the part where it's determined if we have to pay this money back or it's forgiven. And even at a 1% interest rate, paying the money back over 2 years could be a hefty payment if your loan isn't forgiven. So I think the technical details here are very important because it's what gets the loan forgiven, which is our main goal here. So the PPP and its forgiveness isn't all that SBA can offer though, right? Here's some other options. An EIDL loan provides economic relief to small business. So we talked a lot about PPP and hopefully that answers your questions. If not, type them in and I'll address anything else that we haven't covered. But now you know what's covered, when your payment, how to delay your first payment, the forms you need to fill out. The forms have where to get FAQs. Exactly, the form itself will tell you the limited information you actually need to be able to get it. So let's talk about future. Let's talk about how you get more money because there's about 10 plus options you can get through SBA. And EIDL is definitely one of these loans, okay? So to small business and nonprofit organizations currently experiencing a temporary loss of revenue, small business owners, nonprofits in all U.S. states can apply for EIDL. EIDL proceeds can be used to cover a wide array of working capital and normal operating expenses like continuation to healthcare benefits, rent, utilities, fixed debt payments. Big difference here. PPP was supposed to be used to retain employees. So it had everything to do with paying your employees, your payroll costs, the taxes that you pay, the retirement benefits, et cetera. Okay, and interest on mortgages, rent, lease payments, utilities, things like that were covered. But EIDL, you don't have to, it's not forgiven. Okay, the advances were forgiven. They gave like the form of a grant, an advance up to like 10 grand. It was $1,000 per employee. That's forgiven. Those are gone. You cannot get those advances anymore. The free forgiven money from EIDL isn't available, but the loans are still available. And they don't have these restrictions that we had with PPP. If you were adversely affected, you can get an EIDL loan. And why that's important is you can get loan terms as long as 30 years and a 3 3/4% interest rate as a for-profit company or 2 3/4% for nonprofit companies. So this is a huge loan you could still tap into if you still need money. Now, agricultural businesses with 500 or fewer employees are now eligible. They weren't in the beginning. Now they are. The 500 or fewer employees is a general requirement for most type of businesses unless a larger business is still considered small under SBA, but that is how SBA defines small. So let's just say that's the case. Principals of 50% or more ownership interest must be up to date on child support payments. The business cannot derive more than 1/3 of its gross annual revenue from legal gambling activities to be able to get EIDL. Okay, so that is a great way to go. So again, EIDL, these loans at first were up to $2 million. What I've seen during PPP and after is 150 is the highest I've seen since. They first were up to 2 million. Then we just started seeing 150,000 issued. I've never seen that stop. It's still, even when I go to SBA's website, it still says you can get loans in the millions, but we've only seen $150,000 EIDL loans pretty much being advanced. I'm not saying that it's not higher than that. Everybody we've talked to, everybody we've seen, it's 150 grand. So you can still get that. You can still get up to 30 years. You can still get 3.75% interest rate for profit, 2.75% for nonprofit. You do the math. That's a stupid small payment. Your payment is ridiculously small to still tap in and be able to get up to $150,000 with the EIDL. So something you need to consider. Okay, if you were adversely impacted, if you still need cash, this is something that would be the next step you should probably apply for. Now, an SBA Express Bridge loan is another option. Enables small businesses which currently have a business relationship with SBA Express lender to get up to $25,000 pretty quick. Okay, and these can be term loans or they can be used to bridge the gap while applying for an EIDL loan. That's why they were called a bridge loan, because we know EIDL applications are pretty backed up right now with SBA. So this could bridge the gap until you're getting that EIDL loan. So look at an express loan if you need money quickly. Okay, the SBA will pay 6 months of principal and interest and associated with a borrower. If you have a current SBA loan, we did this. We have a current outstanding SBA loan. When all of this went down, we submitted simple application with SBA, and they didn't have us make any payments on our loan for 6 months. No payments needed to be made. This is still available today. So if you have an SBA 7A or 504, the most two common kinds of loans, and microloans dispersed before 9/27 of 2020, then you're able to actually come in and get 6 months relief as long as the loan proceeds didn't come from PPP or EIDL. Okay, if you got a normal SBA loan, 7A, 504, if you got it before 9/27 of 20, you can get 6 months forgiven by applying for debt relief. I suggest that you do. Again, we did this and it works very well. The SBA will automatically approve this relief as follows. For loans not on deferment, SBA will start making payments within the next payment due on the loan. They will make 6 payments for you. For loans currently in deferment, SBA will start making payments with the next payment due after the deferment period is ended. In this case, they'll also make 6 payments for you. For loans made after March 27th of 2020 and fully dispersed before 9/27/2020, SBA will start making payments with the first payment due on that loan. And again, they will make 6 monthly payments for you. It's very effective if you already have an outstanding loan. Okay, SBA lenders have been instructed not to collect loan payments from the borrowers. If a borrower's payment was collected after March 27, 2020, then lenders were told to inform the borrower they have the option of having the loan payment returned by the lender or applying the loan payment to future reduce the loan balance after the SBA's repayment. So some options there if you're into that small category. So this is for current SBA service disaster, home and business loans. If your disaster loan was in regular servicing status on March 1st, 2020, the SBA is providing automatic deferments through 12/31 of this year, but automatic deferment has some specifics. Okay, interest continues to accrue on the loan. Very important. A lot of people don't realize that. So interest is still going to accrue on the loan. So something to keep in mind. 1201 monthly payment notices will continue to be mailed out. They will show the loan is deferred and no payment is due. The deferment will not cancel any established pre-authorization debit or recurring payments on a loan. So something to keep in mind if you set it up for auto payments, as a lot of us do. Borrowers with an established PID through pay.gov or an online pay service provider responsible for canceling those. So if you get the 6 months, then you need to cancel your automatic withdrawal or they will continue to withdraw the payment. So something to keep in mind there. So borrowers prefer to continue making regular payments during the deferment period, may continue to do so during the deferment period. SBA will apply those payments normally as if there was no deferment. After this automatic deferment period, borrowers must resume making regular principal and interest payments after that 6 months expires, okay? To teach that thing, Ty Liddell, I thank you. Thanks for tuning in from LinkedIn. So the SBA has a lender matching tool whereby you can connect with SBA pre-approved CDFIs and small lenders as well to be able to connect with lenders that can help you. Okay, and they are basically community development programs that can help you go through this process and apply. You can apply right for EIDL, right with SBA. You can, and you could apply with SBA directly through the Treasury as well. And Anonymous says, are there any loans out there for business startups? Yes, there are. We'll talk about some of those here in a few minutes. We'll still dive into more options that will work for you as well. Okay, Lender Match is only for SBA guaranteed loans. Do not use it for EIDL loans. Okay, but you can get matched within 2 days with a lender that can actually help you if you need help with finding an SBA lender. Get in touch with us, 877-600-2487. We can get you to our SBA sources as well. To give you an idea of the effectiveness of our SBA sources, our process for PPP was 72 hours, 3 days. So our SBA source, when the height of all this happened, nobody could get their apps in. We submitted all of our paperwork on a Sunday, and we funded on Wednesday. That's what our SBA guys do. Okay, so if you need help with an SBA broker, we can guide you to SBA brokers that helped us and help many of our clients through this time. Just give us a ring or use Lender Match to find the right lender from SBA themselves. So let's not forget that there still are traditional loans from SBA, 7A 504 microloans. Somebody had asked here about, who was it that asked about being able to come in and get startup loans. Microloans can work for that purpose from SBA. That's one option we'll talk about more as well. Jessica says, will this be recorded available for playback? It will be available on the platform of choice. Jessica, you're watching on LinkedIn. It'll be available in my LinkedIn feed. If you ever go to my profile, go down to like where it says how many followers I have and click all. It'll then show my post. And if you click on post, you can always access any of my posts that are streaming on LinkedIn or other videos that I put on there. And you can also access it on YouTube and our Facebook channels as well. CreditSuite.com, top right of our page is where you can access that. If you're attending the webinar and you attend to the end, we'll send you a playback of this webinar just so you know. So let's talk about the first of these, 7A loans. These are basically typical loans you can use for any purpose, what we call working capital. So you can use these for any typical reason. Now, SBA loans have obviously slowed down because of PPP and EIDL, but they are predicting the SBA 7A loans could be the most popular loan product for 2021. They're going to be explosive with the amount of people getting these. So keep in mind, these have no time restrictions on them. This is SBA's typical 7A program. Now, the maximum SBA guarantees 85% loans up to $150 grand and 75 for loans greater than $150,000. You can get loans up to $20 million with SBA 7A. How much you get really ultimately depends on your revenue. Okay, lenders are not required to take collateral for loans up to 25 grand for loans over 350,000. The SBA requires the lender collateralize the loan with the maximum extent of assets they can get. The way SBA works, they're going to take every form of business collateral you have to collateralize the loan amount. Then they'll go into your personal assets. But in a case like Credit Suite, when we got our last SBA loan, you know, our account receivables were enough to cover our collateral, so we didn't have to provide my house as collateral or any of those type of things. Now, keep in mind, you need to make sure your fundability is in line. I talk a lot about fundability because that's what happened with our SBA loan, is that we actually, they did want to collateralize my house because I had things on my LexisNexis credit report that were incorrect. Once we addressed that, got it fixed, and showed SBA they were incorrect, they didn't collateralize my home. But I'm telling you that because if you ever see a weird requirement to collateralize a personal asset like your home, it either means you didn't have enough assets in the business to cover the debt, or they didn't like something, typically something that's on your LexisNexis credit report, which is why I always advise you get a free copy of your LexisNexis credit report, because that's used aggressively for the underwriting of these SBA loans. You need to know what's on there. SBA CAPLines, there's 5 different CAPLines we're going to talk about today. This is a program under, actually, we're going to talk about 4, I'm sorry, 7A, and they are credit lines versus loans. So there's 4 different main sources of CAPLines, 5 different kinds of main sources of loans, but 4 different CAPLines: seasonal, contract, builders, and working credit lines. SBA CAPLines is their umbrella program. They put all their credit lines under. So there's actual 4 different credit lines that fall in this CAPLines program. So with seasonal CAPLines, borrowers use it basically if you're in a seasonal business. Okay, it can be revolving or non-revolving. You can get a loan or you can actually get a credit line. Okay, with the contract credit lines, basically have to do with direct labor. It's really people that are dealing with contractors like builders. Okay, then we get into builders CAPLines, which are specifically for builders, okay, building projects. And then we have working CAPLines, which is kind of an asset-based revolving line of credit. This is the typical a cap line that's not for seasonal businesses, not for builders, not for those that are contractors. They all fall into these categories. So the cap lines from SBA is SBA's main type of credit line. What you need to qualify, let's talk about that. For EIDL, 7A, 504, cap lines, all these so far, you need to meet SBA's credit requirements. Your personal credit needs to be good. Your business credit needs to be established. For SBA 7A loans, you're going to need to have a bank rating that's high enough to qualify, which means your average bank account balance should be $10,000 or more to get a low 5 bank rating. A lot of you might not be familiar with bank ratings. That's the 3rd type of credit you have as an entrepreneur. You have consumer credit, commercial credit, and bank credit. So those all need to be in line to qualify for SBA loans. If they're not, we'll talk about some options that will still yet to come that can still help you here. Okay, so these SBA CAPLines, great program. SBA Express program could get up to $350,000. SBA responds to the application within 36 hours or less. Maximum SBA loan guarantees 50%. Lenders are not required to take collateral for loans up to 25 grand. They may use their existing collateral policy for loans of $250,000 up to $350,000. So SBA Express, where you can get them really quick. Loans are evaluated in 36 hours. You have to deal with an SBA Express lender. 504 loans, these are basically used for real estate. Okay, so generally loans are capped up to $5 million. You're able to get loans for the purchase or refinance of real estate. Right now, we're seeing these be very popular during COVID, and here's why. Commercial real estate's at a really good deal right now. Okay, typically mortgage foreclosures in commercial real estate are 12 to 18 months behind residential. We are predicting, or not we, but experts are predicting in this area that we will see record foreclosures that well surpass 2008 in 2021. So then we can expect 2021, 2022 commercial property values are going to probably fall because, again, a lot of people have abandoned commercial property, right? All these people are working from home now. That's reason one. And reason two is that, again, 12 to 18 months after we see a spike in residential foreclosures, we see it in the commercial space. So a lot of people right now are getting very good deals on buying commercial buildings, especially the one they're currently leasing or renting. We have a lot of cases where our clients are buying the property they're leasing with little to no money down and lowering their overall monthly payment. I can give you a ton of examples where they eliminate their monthly payment because they're in a unit that has 3 different places. They're renting one unit, the other 2 are rented. They buy that place, and now their rent their rent's a little bit higher, but they're bringing in rent from the other 2 units, and that rent covers their mortgage payment. So we've got a lot of clients right now buying the properties they're leasing and renting using 504 loans and eliminating their rent payment and even making a profit because they're now collecting rent from other people within that same building. So a lot of options here with 504, a lot of opportunities you're going to have in the near future to jump in and be able to take advantage. Now, low down payment, usually 10% is what you need. But again, there's other kind of financing you're able to get for this. We help a lot of clients get the money they need for the down payment. So that's how we can get them in with little to no money down. And you can get 20, 25-year loan terms on these. Micro loans, these do work for startups. Somebody in the webinar asked for this. These are loans up to $50,000. The average micro loan is about $13,000. You can even get the loans for up to $35,000 directly from SBA, as well as SBA's lenders up to $50,000. So even if you're newer into business, you need to look into SBA's micro loan programs. That can work really well for you, okay? So if you don't qualify for that, well, then let's talk about a lot of other options. Somebody asked about startup funding. There's a program called Credit Line Hybrid, and you can go to creditsuite.com/business-loans to learn about a lot of our products. You can go to creditsuite.com/get funding to get approved, or just give us a call. So let's talk about a lot of other products that are available for you right now. Okay, if your revenue is consistent again or growing, you can get revenue financing or merchant cash advances. Those have become very popular. As a matter of fact, just last week, I announced a brand new credit line that you're going to love. You can get up to $100,000 in a credit line. Listen to this. This is the coolest credit line I've ever seen. Okay, $100,000, no personal guarantee, no personal guarantee. Credit line reports to Experian Commercial. So no PG, you're building business credit up to $100,000. And here's the kicker. The $100,000 is not based on consumer credit at all. Well, it is kind of. I'll tell you how it works. So the way this credit line works is that first you apply, and the first approval is based on personal credit. You can get up to 10 grand. Like you need 800 credit scores to get the 10 grand. A lot of our clients don't have good credit. So they're actually coming in and getting $100, $500, $1,000 on an initial credit line. We don't care. Okay, after we get the initial approval, you supply merchant statements showing that you process credit card transactions. You can get up to $100,000 or up to 100% of what you process in your merchant account every month. So for example, if Credit Suite processes $100,000 a month in credit card transactions, we can get a loan for $100,000. If we only process $50,000 a month in credit card transactions, we can only get $50,000. If we process $200,000 in merchant account transactions, we can only get $100,000. $100,000 is the cap with this credit line. Okay, and you decide how much you want to pay back. So the approval amount is based on the ceiling of however much you process in merchant transactions. If it's $100,000 or more, you can get the full $100,000. And then you have to tell them, hey, look, I'm willing to pay back like 100% of what I borrow on the credit line within a month of borrowing it. And based on what you're willing to pay back on the credit line within a month when you borrow it, which by the way, you can increase it after the approval, little tip, and how much you process a month determines how much you get. So that's not based on credit. So the first part is, but we don't care about the small credit line. What we care about is supplying merchant statements. You manage your bank account responsibly, merchant account for up to, or a credit line for up to 100,000, real working capital credit line, reports to Experian, no personal guarantee, not based on personal credit, completely at that point based on how you process merchant transactions. So if you want more on that, only one source offers it. And you can give us a ring at 877-600-2487, creditsuite.com/get funding, the best merchant program out there that I've seen. Also revenue lending, merchant cash advances. If you have $5,000 a month in revenue, 6-month time in business, all kinds of funding options there for you as well. If you process payments through Square, through Stripe, through PayPal, they have great funding options as well that get you up to 30% of your revenue. You can get advanced to them. Let's also not forget about credit line hybrid. That's where you can get up to $150,000 in working capital credit lines. Even as a startup, it requires a 680 FICO score from you or a guarantor with the 680 FICO score, crushing it with this program. I mean, Chase, Bank of America, these guys are freely issuing credit again. So a lot of our clients, even as startups, are getting 50, 100, 150,000 in working capital credit lines, 0% rates for up to 18 months, no doc financing, phenomenal program there. And let's just say there's tons of other programs. Peer-to-peer lending, very popular right now. Prosper Lending Club, Funding Circle, Upstart, Street Shares, very, very popular. 620 FICO score gets you in the door. Even if you have less than that, you still might be able to get approved with that for the actual peer-to-peer lending. And we've got training on that on all of our social channels as well. And a lot of asset collateral-based programs. If you have an asset collateral, stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, account receivables, purchase orders, equipment, inventory, commercial real estate, residential real estate, commercial vehicles. If you have an asset, you could typically use that asset to get financing with interest rates less than 5%. A lot of funding options there for you as well. All this stuff is free flowing. Okay, we have not seen any dip throughout any of this on the actual credit or asset-based program. We did see a dip on credit line hybrid because Chase and them tightened up, but now they're freely issuing again. Revenue lending stopped completely. It's now back in business and going again as well. And there's also some really good credit lines still through Bluevine, although they got rid of their term loan, which was the best program they have, but they have a great program. And you can go to creditsuite.com/fundbox, FUNDBOX, to find one of my favorite credit lines. But check with us first, because if you qualify for credit line hybrid, you want to do Fundbox after credit line hybrid. You want to save that inquiry to get more funding with credit line hybrid. So a bunch of different options for you to get funding there as well. And Reba says, awesome info is always tight. I'm going to inform the gentleman who referred me to you if this advice specifically regarding purchasing income property where offices are located. It's a good way to go. A lot of people are using that 504 to do that. So how do you do this? How do you get the most money? I want to at least talk about it. A lot of people ask me what it's like to be able to work with us, because you know you need to get the most money when you need it, but not knowing what it takes to get approved, the approval statement, not knowing what kind of funding you can get, where to go to get it, not knowing how to build business credit holds a lot of people back. Keep in mind, we're here to help you. We have a program called our Business Finance Suite, and this is all that it does, a little bit of everything. Okay, you have 24/7 access. You can use it on your mobile phone. You can use it on your smart device. You can go through this in English or Spanish. And the Finance Suite helps you improve your fundability to get the most money at the best terms, access business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social, no personal guarantee, no credit check. Anybody that owns a business can get it. And we teach you everything you need to know in step one to set up a business. So even if you don't own a business, you can do it through this program as well. And we combine all access to legitimate funding in one place, over 1,000 funding sources. All the funding we talked about today, SBA, it's all available here. Okay, we help you through everything with setting up your business, step-by-step software with our advisors that hold your hand and walk you through. We help you set up your business name correctly, your entity, your EIN. This is what gets most people turned down. We help you set up your address and your phone number, get it listed with 411. That's not something you can do on your own. Unless you use a special service to do it. We pay for that for you. We help you set up your website, your email, your licensing, your bank account, your merchant account. We help you set up your profile with Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian, get your DUNS number. Sometimes Dun & Bradstreet likes to charge you like $1,500 to add accounts to the credit report and be able to, get your credit profile activated, get your DUNS number. All of that we're actually set up as part of our program. We help you get your BIN number with Experian, dispute fix any inaccuracies on your business credit report. We have the largest supply of vendors that help you build initial business credit. We've got some really cool sources right now doing some really cool things with vendors that sell stuff you really need, website services, SEO services, marketing services. You get the stuff you need and build business credit at the same time. We have the largest supply of retail and fleet sources. Almost every major retailer you can access through our system, whether it be BP, Chevron, Sunoco for fleet cards, whether it be Apple, Dell, HP for computers, whether it be Home Depot, Lowe's, Sam's Club, Costco, almost every major retailer, even Nordstrom, Macy's, Amazon, Walmart. We have all those access to financing. You can get auto financing. You can get Visa card, MasterCard, all without a personal guarantee and credit check. Plus, we work with every kind of funding. So if you have regular cash flow, we can get you funding based on that. We have unsecured financing, credit line hybrid up to 0%. You could Google that and see we're the masters of that program. Asset-based lending with interest rates at 2% less. We deal with all SBA loans. You have processors, you have finance officers, you have a whole finance team. So whenever you need money, you just call them and we help you get money. So something else. And if you are interested in getting started through Friday, I wanted to throw in some bonuses. 30-minute coaching session with one of our advisors. So they'll spend time with you, even 30, 60 minutes if you need, to talk to you about everything you need to know to be able to get your business set up the right way and access capital. 90 minutes of credit monitoring with D&B Equifax Experian. That's at $600 I have here. It's actually $750 because we now added Equifax. So you can't even go to Equifax direct in credit monitoring right now, but through us, we're giving you 90 days, which is $250 a month of credit monitoring if you're getting started by the end of the week. D&B and Experian monitoring is only $24 and Equifax after that. A 28-page business valuation report to see how much your business is worth. And we'll even teach you what you need to do to make it worth more money because a lot of us plan on making our retirement, on exiting our businesses. So you need to know now what you need to do to make your business worth more money. A ready-to-publish book on business credit if you're enrolling in our partner program, how to invest in apartment complexes. A lot of people are doing it right now. One of my buddies wrote the book on it. I'm going to throw that in. And we pull all of our review sites into one place with this really cool widget that I think you're going to love. You're going to get that as well if you're enrolling with us through the week. So 7 pretty cool bonuses worth more considerably than you'll actually pay to enroll. So that's about 12 grand worth of value, about another 4 grand plus worth of bonuses. And if you're working with us through Friday, you can start it for one payment of $29.97, get the bonuses, break it down into 7 payments of $5.97. But I'm about to show you something that I rarely talk about once, twice a year. It's a little treat. Okay, so for all of you that can't afford the typical enrollment price to work with us, we have a program that's not on our website. We don't advertise. I rarely talk about. I rarely, once a year, maybe twice a year, disclose the price of this. And I'm going to teach it to you right now. We're going to make that available to you through Friday too. We call it our Genesis program. And our Genesis program is not offered anywhere online. You won't find it on our website or anywhere else. And it's only $149 a month. It's pay as you go, cancel anytime. You get access to our business finance suite, the technology, not all of the sources you get for business credit building that you get access to the full program. You don't have our advisors to help you through like you do the full program, but it's very affordable. $149 a month, cancel anytime. Like I said, maybe once, maybe twice a year, I'll even discuss this pricing. I always say, hey, we've got pricing available and options that we don't even disclose on our website, but I wanted to teach you, give you a little treat today and tell you actually how that works. It's less than $150. Cancel anytime. You're able to get in and get started with our Genesis program through this Friday as well. Keep in mind, it's typically going to take you about 18 to 24 months to do on your own what we can do in just a matter of months. Okay, and you're going to save money because a lot of the things that we pay for or discount for you to build your business credit that you'd pay a premium on will cost you more than even enrolling with us. And we make it affordable. We can work with you on customized payments. We have plans that aren't even available on our website. We can help you get financing to enroll. So if you do want to work with Credit Suite on improving your fundability, accessing financing and business credit, we will make it very affordable for you to do so. And again, an overview of everything you get, everything to do with setting up your fundability, accessing all legitimate kind of funding in one place, accessing the biggest warehouse of business credit sources to help you get credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social. Even as a startup, you get working with us as well. And again, I'm giving you 7 bonuses worth over 4 grand in value, including 90 days of business credit monitoring, amongst many other things that you're actually getting access to if you're enrolling through this Friday. And again, you can enroll one payment of $29.97, 7 payments of $497, or that secret Genesis program, which you're not going to find anywhere online, for less than $150. Cancel anytime. So it makes it affordable for everybody because, a lot of people wanted to work with us and couldn't afford it. And now we just gave you the ability to do so. And if you want to learn more, go to creditsuite.com. If you liked this, we go live Tuesday and Thursday at 1, 11 o'clock on Wednesday, all Eastern time on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope. And you can also access our daily tips on places like Instagram, hundreds of videos on YouTube, all at the top right of our page, creditsuite.com, including our podcast, The Business Credit Financing Show, that now has over 350,000 downloads. So needless to say, it's very popular. You can listen on you go, all kinds of tips to help you build business credit financing. But the Business Credit and Financing Show is unique because not only do I teach you business credit financing, it's the one place that I interview a lot of experts in their industries to teach you all kinds of stuff, how to buy businesses, how to sell businesses, how to, get your messaging correct, how to pick the right products, All of that stuff, we have experts that come on the show and talk to you about, and you can access all of that on the top right of our page, creditsuite.com. So let me wrap up it with answering any questions you have. Can you provide the link again to FAQs? I will try to do that, but that is going to require some work here because I'm going to have to go back to that slide. So give me a second. The FAQ page, let me see here for the FAQ page. Let me see. I will look here while I answer the questions because I'm not exactly sure what slide that FAQ page was on. So let me see here real quick. Paycheck protection. So give me a second. I'm going to try to find, here's the application link. So I am working on finding that right now, but I'm not having any luck here. Okay, so here's the FAQ page right here. So here's that FAQ page. So I pulled that link right there. You can take a screenshot of that page. Okay, are there any loans out there for startups? We talk about that as well. Is Lexus Credit Report different from General? Oh, it's very different from LexisNexis Credit Report. You want to see mine? Here, hold on. Hold on one second. I'm going off camera, and I'll show you the difference here. I found it. Okay, so you're probably familiar with your own credit report. You asked if LexisNexis is different than a consumer credit report. This is my LexisNexis credit report. So it is over 300 pages. It's the equivalent of a book. And if you're not familiar with LexisNexis, every email address you've ever had, every phone number, every email address you've ever had, every license you've ever had issued, revoked, your house, every house you've ever owned, the title company you used to close, the interest rates, the terms, the actual building materials of your homes, the homeowners association, every car you've ever owned, every VIN number, every insurance policy you've ever had. And I'm just getting started. That is what is in this book. So this is what lenders look at to determine if you should be approved for credit financing. And your whole world is in here. It's the most intrusive thing you'll ever find. You can get your LexisNexis credit report for free. By the way, as a client of ours, we help you get your LexisNexis credit report. We help you dispute your LexisNexis credit report. We help you get your check systems credit report, which is a secret credit report score that's used to rate how you handle your banking history. All of that is covered with us as well. So yes, you should get a copy of your LexisNexis credit report. If I want to start Genesis, how do I get started? Give us a call. 877-600-2487. And again, that is available through Friday. I will pull up this slide again right here so you have our phone number. That is where you're able to get started with Genesis by giving us a call. I'm not understanding what the Genesis program includes. It is our business finance suite, and our team will walk you through it. But it is our business finance suite that walks you step by step through the process of improving your fundability, building your business credit, and getting financing. But you're just not working with our advisors, and there's not as many business credit sources in there. So it's a step-by-step software that helps you set up your business where you're fundable. Also helps you guide you through the exact steps to build business credit and get financing. That's all part of our Genesis program. Give us a call. We'll talk more about that. Just sign up for Genesis. Can I still get that? Maggie, give us a call and we'll talk to you more about that. Yes, we absolutely will entertain that for you if you just came in with Genesis. And I'm going to inform, okay, everything is going too fast on this live stream. You're giving, can we obtain all you were saying in the live stream online, like your web page? You can access this on playback. So you're attending on Facebook, and there's a lot of details here. When I'm done, you can go back to our Facebook page and access this at any given time. If you go to our website, then you can access several different points of information, or give us a call for a free consultation. I told you in the beginning, I would teach you how to get how to get credit reports for free, how to get a fundability check. We can do all that with a free consultation. So give us a call at 877-600-2487. We'll just talk to you about your unique situation and what we can do to help you there as well. And Reba says, excellent. I know a few business clients who need the Genesis. Great. Awesome. Good to hear. Basella says, startup as of 9/20, denied PPP, awarded 6 days as a sole prop. That's good. And keep in mind, even as a startup, there's a lot of other ways that we can help you get money. So keep that in mind as well. And when the advance coming back, the advances aren't coming back. EIDL ran out of funds. So the only way the advances are coming back for EIDL is if the government refunds another round of money. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, right? Presidential change is taking place right now. So we don't know, but we'll know into January probably if another round of stimulus is coming out. But until then, it is not going to be that we know of. You are not going to see the EIDL advances come back, but we don't know yet. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope you have a great day. If you have any questions, give us a call, 877-600-2487. Don't forget, on a consultation, we'll do a free check to see how fundable your business is. We will help you get your business credit reports for free with Dun & Bradstreet Equifax Experience, give you tips and tactics to build your business credit, and talk to you about all the financing you can get right now. It all happens when you actually tune in with us in our consultation call. So feel free to give us a call. And that's 877-600-2487, 877-600-2487. Thanks. Have a great day.